Hi there, that's right, it's the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, who's back on the camera again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? Before I go on to the body of the video, I just want to quickly announce that in order to celebrate my birthday, I'm now going to be not making videos for a couple of days, because basically, you know, I do try and make a lot of content for you guys, and it's all out there for you to view on a very regular basis, and sometimes I just need a break. So I'm just going to take, just a few days off, and I'll be making videos again, probably on Monday. But that's not really what I want to talk about today. There is this one particular YouTube user. She is young, very gentle in her approach and her attitude. She is of the Wiccan religion, and the way that she expresses her views are very non-confrontational. It's very non-evangelical, and it is expressed in a very humble and down-to-earth way. And I just wanted to recommend her and her channel, and I wanted to provide a link in the, wherever it is, the sidebar that's now down there, to one of her videos on the preparation of an altar bag. And I saw this one a few days ago, and I thought it was very beautifully expressed. Why do I personally think that that particular video was beautifully expressed? I suppose because it demonstrates how simple religiosity could actually be. For those of you who have been following my videos and have started to get a feeling for what my views on the occult are, namely that there's lots of things in the universe, and we can try and experience them, we can have strange experiences, we can't really say whether they exist or not, but that the altered states of consciousness and the altered light perceptions which occur through prayer, religiosity, meditation, all seem to somehow be a part of it. I find it difficult for me to be able to express to you how you personally could or should perform varieties of religious or prayerful activity. One of the many reasons that people turn to some forms of paganism is because it is being expressed or understood in a way which is down-to-earth, human, very, kitchen table, homespun wisdom, and a sense of something which is wholesome. This is a good thing in its own right. I myself don't always resonate with that particular energy, that particular, expression, but never mind. The way that this particular YouTube user expresses what she calls the preparation of an altar bag is very beautiful indeed. I mean, if one was to invent a concept of God, just invent one at random, it would probably grow with you as you go through the process of life itself. And yeah, I mean, I personally have actually met people who tried to become religious or tried to find a way of developing a belief in a higher power or a sense of the presence of God. And they would start with something simple like worshipping literally the light fitting in the ceiling, or worshipping the water in the radiators. And it would serve a purpose for a little time until they kind of either grew bored of it or it didn't quite suit their needs, and then they'll move on to something a little more interesting or a little more transcendental, and they will build up their higher power concept and go through various different stages for something that's very physical, solid and tangible, such as wood or a glass of water or the light fitting in the ceiling, onto something which maybe has a personality of its own, and they may imagine or envisage a personality that they're talking to, and they may then move on from that to something which deals with maybe like the sky itself, and the sky itself becomes God to them. And then after a time it becomes even more expanded, so it's the sky above as well as the earth beneath them, as well as the expanses of space and time going on for all eternity, and then maybe even something beyond that. But in most of the cases of the people that I've known, they've all started with something that was tangible, something that they could touch or feel or have a form of empathy with, or that could have some form of symbolic representation. And then they would basically design their own religiosity based upon that. Now in the video that I'm recommending to you, we obviously have a lot of very, very Wiccan concepts being included, but there's no reason why anybody who is curious about considering taking like religiosity to be an aspect of their own life, and to try and start with something simple and then to move on with the passage of time, to look at those ideas or add some of their own, something which they personally feel strongly about, and then to learn what it means, you know, over the passage of the years, to change their perceptions about objects, about entity concepts, about their place in the universe, and thus to, you know, just change your perspectives until such a time as you've got a concept of a higher power which you feel comfortable with, that actually seems to sit right with you, and that might eventually give you the through going through the process, might give you the ability to enter into that state of mind which I understand as being prayer. I personally see prayer as being something which is a state of mind in its own right. It feels different. It's like when I do it, I get a state of mind which is similar to the way in which a cathedral itself looks from the inside. You know, a lot of these good, big, beautiful, ancient religious buildings seem to express a state of mind of reverence and tranquility and prayerfulness. But that expression of a state of mind is something which actually occurs in me when I personally am doing theistic exercises. And maybe that's because I've been through progression over the years, and okay, I've made mistakes and I've gone down routes that I wasn't comfortable with and had to move away from those, move towards routes that I was comfortable with in developing my own theistic type practices. I mean, I still do not have to accept a deity as having an objective existence, but I can say that I have reached this state of enjoying and experiencing the state of mind of prayer and knowing what that feels like. Now, my impression of, and this is just my impression, now if you disagree with that, please fine, obviously comment section, that's what it's there for. You know, I'm leaving the comment section open for it so that you can incorporate your own feedback there. There is, you know, a route which leads somewhere, and maybe some people would call this finding God. I don't think that one can say that I have found God. I have learned to develop the state of mind and the sense of perspective associated with prayer, and that occurs through maybe temporarily suspending disbelief, and maybe that's why ritual tools and accessories are important when you're going through development. And when I say development, I'm not trying to infer that there is some kind of ultimate highly spiritual goal that you have to reach, or that's really, really important and is an absolute must, and if you don't reach it then you're a bad person, because I think people who talk like that are a complete and utter pile of something really rather unpleasant, which I really shouldn't say, okay? Is there such a thing as spiritual development? Well, there's, you know, you are a person, you have a mind, you have a soul, whether it is proverbial or actual, and it does change with the passage of time, so of course there is spiritual development, even if you are an atheist. But what about this spiritual development as in terms of developing in your perspective and understanding of something which is outside of yourself? Well, if you decided to, out of fun or pleasure or therapeutic reasons, try and develop some religiosity, then yes, there has to be, to a certain extent, ways of, you know, a way of developing, which would of course be purely up to yourself. Is there some kind of like final ultimate goal? I don't think so. I think it's part and parcel of your progression through life and how you personally experience it, and maybe, just maybe, that is what Wicca itself is all about. Just maybe, of course, that's if you don't think purely, in a dogmatic manner about these things. But you know, this video, go and watch it, subscribe to her channel. She's a very interesting YouTube user, and what I haven't seen from her broadcasts is the aggressive dogmatism. There's none of the sort of like, you know, the God revealed himself to me, or, you know, it wasn't expressed in that kind of extreme manner. And so I'm seriously recommending, for those of you who are interested in, of course, the more occult side of things and the more religious side of things, to go and subscribe to, I think she calls herself Egyptian. I think that's the correct pronunciation. I might be wrong there, but either way, have a look at that particular video and comment there if you wish. But, you know, let me know in your video responses and in your messages what you think of her explanation, because I think it is poetic in its simplicity, and that must have its importance. Great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, signing out for now.